Hello everyone, this is actually my second video for today. I started my Halloween series earlier, so if you missed that video, make sure to check it out. And for today's card, I'm using the Stamping Bella Uptown Girl Bianca Loves Her Big Cake. And I inked her up with Hero Arts black ink, and I'm stamping it onto the smooth side of some distressed watercolor paper. This is the pack that is cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, so you can see just how big this image is. So I stamped it and then I grabbed my Artist Loft watercolors. I've done a review on these and used them a couple times in videos. So again, if I remember, I'll link to those in the description box below. But yeah, I thought I would watercolor this image and use these ones this time just for something different. They do dry to kind of a chalky texture, which can somewhat obscure the stamped lines, but nothing major, and it's really easy to do and super fun. So I started with the skin because that's just habit, and then started doing her hair, and that's when I stopped and realized I should probably tape this down. I haven't watercolored in a while, it feels like, so I kind of missed that step. So stopped, taped it down to my little Epicurean cutting board because it's heat resistant. And again, I link to all this stuff. The painter's tape, all of it is linked in the description box below. So yeah, watercoloring each section, and then I just heat it or like dry it with my heat tool just so that things don't bleed into other areas. This stuff dries really quickly. Again, I think it has to do with like the chalky texture. They dry quite fast. So kind of nice, kind of not nice depending on what you're trying to do. But for images like this where you're doing mostly small areas, I think it's totally fine. So I'm kind of mixing colors and just playing around. You can see here, I just flip the palette around so that I'm using the inside of the lid because it has all these little wells. And that's where I'm just kind of custom mixing some of the colors I want to use and just having fun with it. Really, I had no rhyme or reason going with this card. The only thing I was doing was using a Bella image and then going from there. So I had picked out some pattern papers to use. So that's where I got my color kind of scheme from. And then I'm just playing with watercolors. So I'm just going to play a bit of music for the next little bit, and I have sped up the actual watercoloring. This is like at 800% because there's such like fine little tiny detail spots, and then I was playing around mixing colors and that. So yeah, super sped it up. I'll play a little bit of music and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so now that I've got my image all watercolored and all dry, it's time to peel off the tape, which is the best part. With the painter's tape, always try and pull it away at an angle. That helps to prevent from tearing the cardstock. So peeled all that off and then just trimmed it down to be more even with the border I created just using my paper trimmer. And then later on I actually trim it down even more, just so there's a very small border around the image. And like I said, this is a large image. So rather than doing my standard A2 size card, which would be 4 1/4 by 5.5, I decided to do a 5.5 inch square card. So I just cut down my cardstock to 5.5 by 11 inches and then scored it at the 5.5 to create my square card base. So the pattern papers I had chosen to use with this are from the Basic Gray What's Up pattern paper pack, and I just thought that like banner pattern paper was perfect for a birthday card, so I thought that'd make a cute background. And then I had to use this chevron paper because that's one of my favorites from this set. I thought it was just so cute, just love it. So I also grabbed some AmyR's wrinkle ribbon from my stash in a really pale pink that kind of matched the cake. So I just wrapped that around and tied it in a bow and then adhered the main image. I just decided to keep things fairly simple since I'd spent a good bit of time watercoloring the image. I just wanted the rest of the card to be done. So I cut down a couple pieces of pattern paper and then just used my scissors to trim the little flag ends. And then I just pulled out a piece of my MFT Pink Lemonade cardstock. And the sentiments are from my Happy Day Sentiment set, and I just stamped them with the same Hero Arts black ink. And did something completely different for me. I did not use my stamp positioner. I just stamped them and then completely hand trimmed them out, and then cut little flag ends on both ends of them, and it worked. Yeah, I'm slowly gaining control of my OCD. So trimmed them down, adhered them to the card, and then I grabbed some little ladybug, doodlebug, ladybug enamel dots. Say that 3 times fast. So I grabbed those just to bring out that little bit of red in the pattern papers and on the cake. And then on the inside, I just trimmed down 3 more little flags from the same pattern papers that I used on the front. So I had a few scraps left over. So trim those down, and then I just grabbed another sentiment from the Happy Day set, this little happy birthday sentiment. And for this one, I did use a stamp positioner because I'm like, I wasn't going to press my luck and end up stamping it crooked and then have to pull the whole card apart or, you know, just anything. So quickly used the stamp positioner, so I got it stamped straight and we're good to go. And I could not leave the card well enough alone and had to add some sort of bling. I wanted to emphasize the little polka dots on her dress, so I grabbed my Violet Winkestella, but the brush tip is too fine to be able to fill them in. So all I ended up doing was squeezing it out onto my stamp positioner, so I had a little puddle, and then I just picked it up with my dotting tool, the fine end of the dotting tool, just dabbing it into the Winkestella, dabbing it onto the dots, and that worked perfectly. And then of course I wanted to add some clear, but I didn't want to contaminate my clear Winkestella with any watercolor it might pick up, because this is not, if this was like Inktense pencils, you could add whatever you want on top of it because you know those are permanent, but these being just regular watercolors, I had a fear that I'd reactivate all of this color with my clear Winkestella, and just more worried that I would get a bunch of like color in mixed in with my brush. So all I did was squeeze it out onto my stamp positioner again, and then just picked it up with a paintbrush and painted it on. So it was perfect, and it washed out of the brush no problem. And now I've got a fun little sparkly cake. So as always, there will be a link below the video to my blog post with links to all the supplies used. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.